am Missy Renee, and on this channel we talk about manifesting. Everything manifesting, how to do it, how to properly apply it so that you can live the life that you've always dreamed of. And in this video, we're going to talk about the ladder technique or the ladder experiment, because this is actually a really fun and really powerful way to show people who are new to manifesting, or anyone who was new to the teachings of Neville Goddard, a great way to prove to themselves that you are in fact the creator of your reality. You are in fact creating through the power of your subconscious mind. Now, for those of you who are new here and may not have heard of Neville Goddard before, Neville was a New Thought speaker and author in the early half of last century. He would go around and speak to groups of people about how your imagination creates your reality. So back in the 1960s, and I don't recall the exact year, but in the 1960s, he had a group of students in Los Angeles where he would speak often. He was speaking to a new group of people in Los Angeles, and at the end of the session, at the end of the talk, he gave them all a homework assignment, so to speak, or a technique or experiment that they could try out themselves and that they can do at home to prove that what he was saying wasn't just some crazy fairy talk. And Neville also always emphasized trying and testing these techniques and testing these theories and testing these philosophies. He never asked anybody to take his word for it. He never asked anyone to just believe anything that he said. No, he actually very much discouraged that people should just follow blindly towards anything. He always encouraged everybody to test it, and he always gave out these techniques and these experiments for people to try themselves at home. Again, you can prove to yourself these teachings are in fact truth. So at the end of his session, he told his group to try out what he called the ladder experiment. And basically, the instructions went like this. Whenever you go home tonight and you are getting ready for bed, I want you to, right before you fall asleep, picture in your imagination that you are climbing a ladder, and really bring all the tones of reality that you can to this scene. He instructed them to try to make that picture of the ladder as vivid and lifelike as possible, and to actually be there in the first person climbing up this ladder. He told them to make it as specific as you can. Hone in on the descriptions, like, is that ladder wood or metal? How tall is it? What color is it? Are the steps wide or are they narrow? Etc. But make a lifelike and vivid representation of this scene as possible. And when you go to bed, right before you fall off into sleep, he instructed them to bring this scene and to climb the ladder. And when you got to the top of the ladder, he instructed them to come back down again. Step number 2, he explained, was the next day, make sure to write a note on a piece of paper saying, I will not climb a ladder. I will not climb a ladder. And he instructed them to write this down, put that note in a place that they were going to see it often throughout the day. And I would say make multiple notes of this. When I first did the ladder experiment, I had a sticky note pad and I would write down, I will not climb a ladder. And I put that everywhere. I put it on my desk. I put it on my bathroom mirror. I put it on my dashboard in the car. For the duration of this experiment, I would always see and remind myself not to climb a ladder. And he told his students that every time you see this note, every time that you see the sign, really stop and affirm to yourself with conviction, I will not climb this ladder. And he instructed them to do this for 3 nights. And he said after the 3rd night, you can just drop it. You don't ever have to do it again. It's done. The seed has been planted. There's nothing left for you to do. And then he instructed that whoever successfully climbed a ladder after doing this technique for 3 nights, anybody who actually climbed the ladder in real life, he told them to come back to his next lesson the following week. So when those students came back the next week, the ones who had successfully climbed a ladder, he famously told them, you know, that could have just as easily been $1 million. And in fact, a few of those students in that class actually did go on to be millionaires through Neville's techniques. and through his philosophies. So the point of this, again, is to really make sure that you guys have something, a tool to start out with. This technique is still played out to this day with much success. And guys, let me tell you, when I first did this experiment, when I first did the ladder technique, I was highly skeptical going into it. This was around the time that I had first really started getting back into Neville Goddard, about 3 or 4 years ago now. I was like, there's no way that this is going to play out, because I've climbed a ladder maybe 2 or 3 times in my entire life. There's just never been situations where I needed to climb a ladder. So I was highly skeptical. I was like, there's no way. But regardless, I still did this every night for 3 days. While I was going to bed, I would imagine myself vividly as I could climbing a ladder and then climbing back down again. And I did this over and over until I fell asleep. Like I had mentioned earlier, I had put notes all over the place saying, I will not climb a ladder. I dropped it after the 3rd day, as Neville instructed to do. I kid you not, about a week after this experiment, if that, I had a friend call me, an old friend of mine who was also one of my clients from a handful of years ago. I used to do photography and videography, and I still do sometimes for fun, but for the most part, this is kind of my jam right now, is teaching about the law and teaching about how to manifest. A handful of years ago, I did photography, videography, and I had an old friend of mine hit me up out of the blue, and she wanted to film a music video. She was working on a music video. She is a musician and starting up her solo project, and she was explaining to me that she just needed a few pickup scenes for this video. It was mostly already shot and done, but there was a couple scenes that she wanted to get. She said, it's going to be really easy. You can just come on over to my house and we'll just knock them out. And of course I was like, yeah, sure. Okay. Why not? So I go to her house, I get set up, I get my camera, I get all the lighting and everything. And sure enough, there was a certain angle that she wanted to get with the camera. And in order to get this angle, I had to climb a ladder and then shoot from above. And so I'm halfway up that ladder when I'm like, oh shit. Oh my God, I'm climbing a fucking ladder. It was like, it was insane. It was insane. Kid you not, I have never had to climb a ladder more than maybe once or twice in my life. And then the fact that I was climbing a ladder not even a week after this exercise, not a coincidence. And this is such a clever technique because it shows you in multiple ways how powerful your subconscious mind really is. The entire point of the notes saying, I will not climb a ladder, is to show you that despite what you may be telling yourself in your day-to-day, it is whatever is impressed onto the subconscious, whatever you feel when you are going into that dream state, when you are going into that state before bed, that is what you're going to be experiencing. It's not necessarily what you tell yourself throughout the day. It's not necessarily what you are affirming to yourself throughout the day. It's whatever you're bringing with you into sleep. And when you are in that trance-like, drowsy state, because it's in that drowsy state that our subconscious mind is the most accessible, where we can actually get past our conscious mind into our subconscious, which will then take and impress whatever it is that we put on it and show it to us in our 3D world. So it is imperative to be careful of what you are taking with you when you go to bed. I was certainly one of those people that would read a bunch of terrible shit right before bed. I would always go to bed stressed and anxious and scared or mad or sad, all of that. I never do any of that these days. I know for a fact that whatever is on my mind when I'm going to bed is going to show up in my 3D reality. If you're having anxious thoughts, if you are spinning your wheels as you're going to bed, like a lot of people unfortunately are in that habit of doing, you want to make sure to cut that out. whatever is taking up space in your mind as you are falling off to sleep is going to show up in your 3D world. So this is a really simple yet powerful way to show the powers of the subconscious mind. And I encourage all of you to try this one. If you have not tried the ladder technique, I'm telling you, the results will blow your mind. So anyways, guys, that's my video for today. I wanted to get this one out here because I thought it would be a very fun, simple, and easy to digest technique or exercise that you guys can implement. And those of you who are new to these teachings, those of you who are new to the world of manifesting, this gives you something to do to build up that faith, to build up that belief of, yes, okay, what I think about, what I impress onto my subconscious, I will in fact create. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy this video, if you found it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. That way the YouTube algorithm will be triggered and more people can see this really helpful content. And I want to get this word out to as many people as possible. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the bell icon so that way you are notified every time I put out new videos, which is every Thursday through Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're interested in checking out any of my other resources, I will link my blog, my coaching website, and my social links down in the description box below. So don't forget to check those out. And if you have any questions for me about this video, about the ladder technique, or just about anything in general, if you have something you want me to talk about in future videos, go ahead and leave them down in those comments below. So until next time, you guys, take care, try this technique, and definitely comment below your results and your experience with it, because I am so excited for you guys to try this one. Until next time, take care, be well, never forget how powerful you truly are. Happy manifesting.